Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Sour Popcorn Podcast. I'm Jake.
And I'm Zack.
I'm currently, I feel like Rorschach's journal. I was at a concert last night and so I lost my voice a bit. But anyhow, the show must go on.
No smoking. It's bad for your throat.
My first design and technology lesson in year 7, the teacher just turned around and he pointed at me and he was just like, "Stop smoking." I was 11 years old.
That's fantastic.
I did never and have never, still to this day, ever smoked.
That's fantastic.
I don't know where he got it from, but he just turned to me, snapped, he goes, "Oi, boy, stop smoking."
I miss our old technology teachers, they were awful. So yeah, I'm going to be taking the main brunt of the conversation for this point, for this episode, and probably our next one. We'd also like to make aware that the next episode we are pre-taping.
We're recording it straight after this one.
Because we've both got exterior commitments that we unfortunately have to adhere to, but we still want to be able to bring up an episode, so there'll be no news, but there will still be some content that we'll just be discussing.
Yeah, we'll just do a scheduled upload, and then it should just go up by itself.
Yeah. So we'll get straight into it this week with the news, and what has happened to James Gunn is happening on a smaller scale to Dan Harmon.
Poor man.
Yeah, it was recently, James Gunn was recently attacked by the alt-right by bringing up some old tweets he'd made that were of a extremely harmful and distasteful nature. They've attempted to do the same with Dan Harmon, excuse me, and they've tried to bring up the fact that he made an unaired pilot for Channel 101, which was like a parody of Dexter, in which there was pardon the perverse language, a baby fucker. It was kind of all about that. It was a very perverse pilot, and they never aired it, but it was, as Harmon quotes, made to be extremely provocative, made solely for that, not endorsing the subject, but to be as shocking as possible. And as a result, alternative right people have completely jumped onto Harmon because of this, and they've tried to throw his name in the mud. Adult Swim has released a statement though and said although we don't condone this in any sense of the word, Harmon made this years ago, he's apologised for it, we've discussed it with him, Channel 101 went through the process with it and it was sorted, so it's kind of a nicer story than what happened to Gunn. We admit it's wrong, but
that's
he's not
exactly
in trouble.
What should have happened with Gunn. Disney should have spoken to him, then they could have seen, and they should realise that he's a different person than when he wrote the stuff that he did. And then they could move on with this. They could make Guardians 3 and then part ways. Yeah,
I think it kind of speaks really, really highly to kind of what Disney's becoming, as a model, because they're becoming so much bigger. Adult Swim needs Dan Harmon because they need him for Rick and Morty. That's one of their biggest money earners, and they can't really make it without him, whereas Disney, they're the sort of enterprise now that doesn't need James Gunn. They can hire 40 other directors and have it still work. But then that just kind of raises the point of, if you're a really kind of respectful director and you're kind of you've got a bit of a conscience, why would you ever really want to work with Disney at this point? Because they've kind of this year alone, and most of 2017, proven, with Phil Lord and Chris Miller, with Colin Trevorrow, with just in general, if they don't like your vision, they will part ways with you, lickety-split like that. And then also, just as similarly, if you do anything that tarnishes their image, then you're gone. There's no protection for you, and there's no real understanding for your work either. I think unless if you have got free reign to do as you please, you're part of that big Disney model. You've got to make all the money in the world, otherwise you're not anything to them.
And it is a shame because some people do need to go where the money is, and the money's definitely at Disney.
Yeah.
It would be pretty awful if in however many years this clip of the podcast is used because we've been kicked off a project for something.
Oh, yeah. Zack and Jake to direct Star Wars, Watto, a Star Wars story, and we're just kicked off there because of this clip.
If we're doing any Star Wars story, then it'll have to be with the little
What, the Ewoks?
Ewoks.
Yes, brilliant. No, we're not doing
We'll be doing an Ewoks
We're not
film.
doing an Ewok movie. Like, there's been 2 awful Ewok movies. We're not doing any more.
Third time's the charm.
Alright, I'll do an Ewok movie if you promise we can include Wilfred Brimley just saying fuck in a children's film. Because he does, he says fuck. And it's very clear.
And we can have Billy D. Williams, like at the end of Return of the Jedi, just clapping in the background, just being all awkward.
Yeah, small intercut with that. I get very annoyed with those special editions because they get rid of the beauty of the Yub Nub song and they just replace it with that generic, oh, we saved the day music. It's Yub Nub was a beautiful personal thing. Kids today will grow up not knowing what Yub Nub was, and that just upsets me.
With John Williams doing the score for that, do you reckon he wrote the Wob Nub bit?
I think he did. I would not be surprised. I really would hope that he wrote that. Like, he tried to appropriate it into a culture.
Not Duel of Fates, not Jurassic Park theme. The Wob Nub score is where John Williams peaked.
It's just so good. You just hear it and you just want to move your feet. It's perfect. Yeah, so Dan Harmon, we feel for the guy, and we feel it's great that even he can come out and admit, I'm very sorry about this. And then it's even sad that he kind of just deletes his Twitter afterwards because people are just piling on it and just using it against him. Like, I mean, Ryan Johnson recently just went and deleted, I think, what was it? 20,000? Like, that's a scary amount of tweets. And it's kind of scary how social media, of all things, is being used to, like, take jobs from people and how successful it can be.
And especially with this, it's not like they're actually committing any crimes. And like, if they actually did some of the stuff that they mentioned, then yes, by all means, get rid of them.
Don't want to see them
whatever.
Again.
But people do change. They are different. People's tastes mature. And while there is some pretty averse stuff in Rick and Morty and what Dan Harmon has produced, it's nothing like that now.
No. It's just like, and that's specifically what that thing was made for. It was made to be provocative. It was the same thing that James Gunn was doing. It was made to be provocative. It's like, it kind of astounds me that there can't be kind of a conversation with these kind of things anymore. It's just, you're gone, cut and dry. You've made a mistake, there's no coming back from it. There kind of like needs to be a conversation, like not just amongst Disney themselves. I think there needs to be one like amongst the fans and people in general, kind of like a discussion of how far can we go before we're able to forgive someone for their actions. Like, I'm sure in school, like, everyone's either had a bully or been a bully. You can guarantee that more than likely if you saw that person today, they would be very different. The relationship would be different. And I think although you're always going to hold something like that against someone, you can still accept that people can change, people can grow from their mistakes, just as these people have. For
example, Chris Hardwick, who has actually been accused of abuse, AMC have come out and they've said, we've done this investigation, we've spoken to him, and we're deciding to keep him on, which is fair enough. They can do what they like. They've clearly feel like they've got enough facts to support the fact that they want to keep him on, which is their decision. And it is a shame that Disney did choose to fire Gunn in such an immediate way and just jolt of a reaction, because I was thinking about it the other day with how quickly Disney reacted. Obviously this is just speculation and theory, I'll get my tinfoil hat out, but I feel like Disney already they may have already known about the tweets. They were just waiting that if someone was to bring it up, he's gone. So like they had that red button, get rid of him.
They had to have known. I mean, it's like, it's Disney. It's the most powerful, kind of also patriotic company in probably entertainment. Like, everyone knows and loves the family brand of Disney, so they like must perform like thorough background checks on these people because they don't want their name like tarnished. So it's kind of impossible. They wouldn't have been aware of that. To then just get rid of him whenever it was necessary.
Maybe even if when they hired him, if they were aware of it, which they probably, someone at Disney must have been. Maybe if they're even like, can you delete these? And then it wouldn't be as big a thing. Like, yes, someone may have one screenshot or something, but
it's just a crazy time to be in that industry, especially for people who are like high up, and
everything's sort of up in the air at the minute, and people don't want to be in the middle of the wrong scandal, so they're just acting quickly and then maybe not properly thinking about certain decisions and the implications that it may have.
But then that's just the thing with how quickly it is. You don't have time to think. I mean, and then you get these situations like when Roseanne, when she got cancelled because of her comments, and like she's like tweeted like, oh, she's in disgust that people are supporting James Gunn but they weren't supporting her. Big difference. He has thoroughly apologised for his commentary. You are still a racist, Roseanne. You have not apologised, and you're still continuing to be racist.
And I'm not 100% aware of the Roseanne situation, but even if she has apologised, I still feel like she only said it recently, whereas he has actually changed.
Yeah, he
and progressed as a person.
Has demonstrated an ability not only to apologise for that, but to just grow as a person, whereas she is just like, come on people, just forgive me, I'm Roseanne. We'll move into some happier stuff though now, kind of like some of the lighter fare. We just come back from a crazy Comic-Con. It is like, I've been watching all the live streams, the panels, like that. So
panels have been really good this year.
I must admit there were some fantastic panels. I was really impressed, especially with like some of the bigger ones, like the Warner Brother ones, like bring out Aquaman with the water show, and I love how they tried to kind of mimic the Loki moment by bringing Johnny Depp on stage, but that maybe didn't go as they planned. It was a great con. Like, they had some really good surprises, like some of the things they announced.
Trailers were pretty strong this year.
Trailers, I was impressed by all of them that I saw, besides Titans.
Yeah.
But we don't.
But we spoke about that last week.
We don't talk about that.
Leave it in the past.
What was your favourite trailer of like kind of Comic-Con for you?
I know I've already said that we're going to discuss it later, but I'll possibly say Walking Dead.
Yeah, like it really did kind of grab you and want to go for it for that new season. And like, I think mine was probably Godzilla, because I think I think they were two similar trailers in that they kind of like promise fans, oh, we're going to give you what you haven't had for the previous few seasons, or like the previous entry, kind of like what you enjoy. But I think the one that has won the con is Shazam, because everywhere I go is just on the internet, everyone's talking about Shazam, everyone's talking about how cool that looks, and I hate it. I absolutely hate how it looks. I think it looks awful.
I even tweeted this. It looks like Tom Hanks' Big.
Yeah, that's
and that
unanimous
film
agreement.
Is classic, flawless, don't touch it. But I mean, while it has also been said to look like a Disney Channel original film, which it does,
100%.
If it's fun and quirky, and it looks like it's going to pay homage to the rest of the DCU without being too overbearing and too in with it. But yeah, I thought that. I personally thought that it looked enjoyable.
I don't like any of this. Like, for me, it just kind of encapsulates everything they could have done wrong with a Shazam movie. Like, I don't need... You can have the lighter fair moments, but I don't need the entire thing to be a comedy. I need the serious moments of, like, it's like, he is still a kid reacting to the fact it's like, oh, I am stopping a mugging. I am fighting off an alien creature. This is me. As a 10-year-old, he is just basking in the joy of it. It's like, he's practically like, what, like 14 in this film. He's like a lot older. I like the fact that Billy Batson is 10 years old, does not know how to do these things. And then it kind of just... I know DC's trying to do it a lot at the moment, but it's completely shaking up that tone they've established. Like Man of Steel, BVS, bits of Justice League, they're dark movies, they're grounded. This is the first attempt where I feel like, Justice League felt in many ways like a studio note, but it had been planned based on what we'd seen in previous films. This feels like studio note the movie. Oh, we've got to have the laughs in there, we've got to have a likeable kid, we've got to have this guy doing that, we've got to get him having the brand things, we've got to have the mentions to the universe. It felt so forced in my mind.
Like they just had a checklist while they were making
really.
I feel like with Shazam, it does look really campy. Not only in how it's done, but also, while I love Zachary Levi, like in Chuck and other things that he's been in, Alvin and the Chipmunks, fantastic, classic, masterpiece.
Get out.
it looks like they've made his suit too over the top.
I hate his
not
costume.
The design of it, but like with colours and stuff. But the fake muscles.
Yeah. I don't like the hood either. Like they're trying to preach this with Shazam has a hood. It's not. It's a nice little cape. Let's just keep it at that.
I think because they didn't show his face like that, that may not be Zachary Levi. I mean, it probably is.
What, you mean the old man one?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the previous Shazam, I believe. I forget what it's called. I want to say the ancient one, but no, that's the thing from Doctor Strange. Like. But yeah, it's basically like a wizard who gives him the power of Shazam, and it's like...
Yeah, I didn't know... Like, I knew it wasn't supposed to be that Shazam, but I didn't know if it was Zachary Levi or a different person.
And it also, like, you talk about who's in it. What the fuck are they going to do with a villain for this? Because Black Adam's not in this movie. And Black Adam is antithesis of the villainy for Shazam. Like, I know The Rock was meant to be playing Black Adam, and he's no longer, I don't think.
No, he's... playing Black Adam, to my knowledge and understanding, he's playing Black Adam, but in Suicide Squad 2.
Oh, that's brilliant then. But it's like, you don't do a Shazam and not have Black Adam. Like, if you're going to base it on, oh, he has to deal with, like, the military, the normal people, that's interesting. That's a cool way to go about it. But if you're just going to throw in another villain, like, that's the equivalent of me doing my first Spider-Man movie and Green Goblin's not in it. That's the equivalent of me doing, like, a Batman solo acting and Joker's not in it. Like, they're just so expected things to be in it, and it just kind of, it's like, alright, this really kind of sends a warning flag in my mind.
Although Shazam doesn't have that many famous villains.
No, I'll give you that.
So, like what they did with Wonder Woman, where they had Ares in there straight away, I feel like they should have built up to Ares.
Yeah, Ares should have been like a thing for the sequel.
But maybe they sort of learnt from that, or maybe even... they're going to have his mate become evil or some shit like that.
I just don't care. I'm just not interested at all. Like, I can guarantee so many portions of that film is just going to be them filming him while he tries to do superhero things, and it's just going to be them laughing at it on the camera, and they'll make Zachary Levi look really funny.
They do have the opportunity to highlight some conventions of superhero films and sort of turn it on its head a bit and sort of be a bit of a self-aware film, but I don't know if it's going to push that or just try and be funny.
And I'm kind of sick of the self-aware superhero films as well. That's why I like the look of Aquaman so much, because it is just admitting it's a crazy superhero film, whereas this is like, oh, let's be this cool thing.
Yeah, like, whereas in like the Marvel films, it's like, in Ant-Man, is it too late to change the name? Whereas in Aquaman, it does look like they've fully embraced it.
Yeah, they commit. It's a crazy thing. Like, the only thing that will get me hyped for this movie is, like, if I hear Henry Cavill appears halfway through. Because I'll go and watch anything with that guy. Plus, I want more Superman in my life. Like, that's a great thing to then actually give comic book fans. People have been waiting just as long to see Captain Marvel, Shazam, and Superman be on screen together nearly as long as they have Batman and Superman.
Now that would be a good mid-credit scene instead of Justice League, where they have it with the Flash and it feels really tacked on and forced and very Joss Whedon, and it doesn't particularly mesh with the rest of the film. If they had that little race bit with Shazam and Superman,
that's something to try out. That's something a lot more interesting.
Yeah,
it won't happen, unfortunately, but that's just what I want. I get why people like it. It's just not for me. I'm sure it'll be okay, but one that as I say, I do love is Aquaman.
I feel like you're the only one.
I love this. This is like, they're riding fucking sharks, man. That is so cool.
It genuinely looks like a remastered version of Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
It looks so cool. Shark Boy and Lava Girl is underrated classic of
I
our
actually
time.
genuinely liked that as a kid. I watched it
film.
too much.
Perfect film. It's up there with Spy Kids 1, 2, and 3. Fourth, because we don't talk about the fourth one.
I never got a remail.
Shut up. But it just, Aquaman for me just looks like dumb, stupid, silly fun, which is what they need to go full on in this fucking thing. They're riding sharks. The guy basically wears a frisbee for a helmet. Black Manta looks stupid as hell, and I love it. It's such a crazy helmet, and it looks amazing.
It's odd because when I first watched it, I thought, some of the CG looks pretty good. Some of this could do with a bit more work, but for the most part, it's pretty strong.
I think
actually.
It looks fantastic.
And it has its own strong visual style, and that's something James Wan's really good at. But I thought, could do some work in some areas. But then, I don't know why, but rewatching the same trailer, but like in discussion videos where they just have it on in the background, but you can't hear it. For some reason, it looks better to me when you can't hear it than when you can. I don't know, like when people are discussing it, and like, for example, the bit where everyone cheers in the trailer. Yeah. To me, personally, that looked better when I couldn't hear it.
You're a weird guy.
Placebo. The funny things of life.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, it definitely looks better. It is leaps and bounds ahead of what they put in Justice League. Like, it looks... Yeah. I was really worried, like, when we saw that, just like, oh god, this is what Aquaman's going to be, isn't it? But no, they've, like, done it. It actually looks really good. It looks... There's probably still room to touch it up, but they've got until December to do that.
While I have my problems with Wonder Woman, I feel like... No, I think that Warner Bros. Saw that they gave Patty Jenkins, the director... A lot of liberties to just do her vision, and because of how well it worked out in most people's opinions, they were sort of like, okay, James Wan, here's reliable stuff under his belt.
Yeah.
So I think we should take a bit of a risk with him.
I think this film's going to blow up. I think it's going to do really well. I think it will. I think like December release time. I
can see it bombing though.
I think lots of people are going to go and see this. I think people
sides.
are going to see the wacky tone, and they're going to think, oh, this is different to anything DC's kind of done yet. Like, they've tried the wacky tone with Suicide Squad, but even then that was dark and gritty. People are going to see that and think that looks cool. Plus, it's holiday season this is coming out in. People go to the movies, and you know what it's like when you're going to the movies in holiday season.
Mary Poppins, Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh's in August. Christopher Robin, yeah, so that's all it will have is Bumblebee and Mary Poppins to fight it with. And I think
if Star Wars was coming out this
if Star Wars was
December,
coming out, it'd be a different route. But I think they know, like, this is our chance to kind of get in. And holiday season is like, you're not just getting one ticket, you're getting at least 4 because the whole family goes and sees it. And I think this will be kind of one where it can appeal to all ages because it will have those funny moments. It'll have the action sequences. I mean, he looks fucking amazing in the full costume with like the proper orange and green. Like, that looks incredible. And I think...
My man.
Yeah, like, it's got that mentality. He's a funny guy. He's a likeable guy. Like, he's not Aquaman. He's Jason Momoa. He's funny. He's enjoyable. And I think that's just what certain audiences will just gravitate to. They'll just want to watch. That's like, hey, that guy's kind of funny. I think this will do really well for DC. Like, it won't be a critical gem by any means, but I think it will just be an enjoyable one. And people will praise it on that alone.
I think the casting of Jason Momoa was very wise on Warner Bros. Part because people recognise him. He was in one of the biggest TV shows going.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. And really beloved character.
And with him, and with Aquaman, the common conception being he is just this funny character people laugh at. Oh, he talks to fish.
I talk to fish.
And they mock it all the time in like Family Guy and other stuff. They cast fucking Khal Drogo.
Yeah, like you instantly out the gate. Business. It's like, fuck, this guy could kill me with his foot, probably. Like, just putting his foot on my face, I would die.
Melted metal, anything.
Yeah, anything. Like, he's the most superimposing guy on the planet, and they picked that for Mr. Orange and Green Tights.
He comes across different in different interviews. Like, sometimes he comes across as really nice, and sometimes he comes across as not self-absorbed, but I'm not sure. I think it's the people who he's on the couch with on the talk shows. But sometimes they just don't get him, and then he sort of feels a bit out of place. But I don't know. He seems like a nice dude.
Yeah, he's by no means as bad as Hugh Jackman, because he's very interruptive in interviews. But that's another discussion for another day. Jake is like glaring at me at this point.
Never speak ill of Hugh Jackman again.
It's the one criticism I have for the guy. One criticism. He's done it twice now at the Graham Norton show, and it's annoyed me both times.
How many times has he been there? Many, I'll have you know, many.
Yeah. And he's done it twice to people who are in the middle of a conversation or an anecdote, and it's like, you've been on this show for half an hour already. Let the other person speak a minute. They're only trying to say something small. They'll get back to you in a minute, Hugh. They know they will. Give them a minute. You know, you could just say off stage as well how much you enjoy their work.
He has earned the right to interrupt people, okay?
Have you seen The Greatest Showman? Because I don't think he's got as much of a right anymore.
You cannot just revoke the title given to him after Logan. I will never hear ill of Hugh Jackman again.
Logan was overrated. I'm joking. I'm just trying to rile this guy up. I'm really just because his face is just perfect right now.
Sorry, I have some sour popcorn news now. This is now a one-man show. Zack has unfortunately left the project due to unforeseen circumstances. You know, when I said people would listen back to the clip from earlier of people being kicked off projects.
This is how a relationship broke down. So when we become the biggest rivals in the industry, this will be like the moment. Jokes aside, though, I think this will be a fun one. I'm very excited for it. It was my second favourite trailer of the con.
And with the poster, yes, it did look pretty fake.
It's a brilliant poster. It's so funny.
It feels like an 80s poster. But I don't get the controversy with the stock photo shark.
No, I
That's
don't
the
either,
whole
no.
idea of what stock photos are, so
Yeah.
you can just use them.
My favourite part is, like, you've got the sharks and the killer whales. And the best bit is you can see a sea turtle is in that mirage. And then on the very top there's dolphins. It's like, yes, we're finally going to get that classic episode of The Simpsons where the dolphins take over the city and they attack the people. We're going to get that in Aquaman. That's going to be perfect.
I would love a recreation of the scene in Finding Nemo where it's just like, go the flood.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Do you still have a favourite as well? Go to Robot Check-In. It's a beautiful sketch with Aquaman, and it's his sidekick Lagoon Boy, and Lagoon Boy has a fish for a head, and it's absolutely hilarious, and like they kind of have to resort to cannibalism, and it's absolutely hilarious. Give it a watch when you get a chance. Just Google Aquaman and Lagoon Boy Robot Check-In. You'll cry. We move on to Jake's favourite trailer though, and one that thoroughly surprised me. I didn't think I'd enjoy this nearly as much as I did.
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I think it speaks very highly. They have a new showrunner, and action is returning.
Because while they replaced Scott Gimple halfway through last series, they'd still shot a large chunk of it. So it was still very much his show last year.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're taking it in a fresh, interesting direction, especially with the time jump. It means that the new showrunner, and I don't know if it's a completely new writing staff, but the new showrunner can really make it her own.
Yeah, she really can. I think from the evidence we're seeing, it seems very different in tone. Like it's going away from that all-out war idea, and I think it's returning, as it very much should, to the inner-group conflicts.
And the characters.
Yeah,
because that's why people love this, because yes, it has the big moments of the deaths and what have you, and while that's definitely coming this series with certain cast members leaving, it feels like it's going back to its roots of being more character-driven.
Yeah, and I think as well, it looks to really capture what kind of where that time jump was in the comic. It looks so similar. Like it captures it so well, like the Negan in the prison, like the communities they build, kind of like the arguments occurring between the characters, the Maggie and Rick like relationship. My most interesting relationship to see this season looks very similar to how it did in the comics. It's very interesting to see them kind of bring more of that back. I hope they are still subversive, but it's kind of nice to see it realised on the big screen.
I have we spoke about it in a previous episode. Andrew Lincoln's leaving The Walking Dead, and I have a way that I feel would be a very interesting exit for the character.
Ooh.
If they decide that they do want to kill him rather than just walk off into the sunset. With the rivalry they're building between Maggie and Rick, with Rick now being a lot more of a pacifist, a lot more peaceful, it'd be interesting if they put him in a situation where he has to kill someone, be it... I don't want Negan to break out and then he's about to kill someone, but someone's about to kill someone who Rick loves, and then Rick's trying to talk them out of it, but then the person kills them.
Yeah.
And then that's when Daryl snaps and he just goes off on it on Rick, say, I don't know who that character would be, be it... I would sort of like Maggie to talk to Daryl and be like, no, it's Rick's time to leave.
Yeah.
Or
like if it was Carol that got killed or something.
Yeah.
Like that would
if
then
it was
really
that bigger character, then it would... No, I would quite like to see them completely progress Daryl to the point where he does kill Rick, even if it's not intentionally, and it's the famous Walking Dead straddle punch.
Yeah,
and he just keeps going like they're dead, or something like that.
And then that's an even more stepping point like interesting point for them when they continue the show, where Daryl is arguably the protagonist, because then it's like the mindset is like, fuck, I've just killed this guy I've been living with for like what, 6 years now, isn't it, in the show?
And then what they do is Daryl freaks out. He's like, oh god, I've just killed Rick. So then he goes on his motorcycle, and then they bring the Norman Reedus, Riding with Norman Reedus show into the Walking Dead universe.
So it's just a biker show in the zombie apocalypse. That's brilliant. I think kind of an idea for what I would kind of way I've seen it, because what this trailer kind of gave very much that I liked was it was those shots of the main characters, like Carol's in this trailer a lot, Maggie's in this trailer a lot, Jesus is in it, Michonne, all the characters that we know and enjoy, the main ones that we like, a lot of return of them. I think what we want to do is, because they're very content, it seems to move on. Like, they're kind of not used to this kind of like this group mentality, and they do of course move on in the comics eventually, but they're finding it harder and harder to deal with. I think what it would be interesting to try, kind of consider with it, it's like they leave, like the main cast, they leave the Alexandria, but Rick stays behind to manage it.
That'd be interesting.
Rick says, look, no, I've started something here, I'm going to stay with these people, they need me, I'm happy here, I don't have to go out there and hurt people anymore. Then the main cast can go off and they can do it on the road, they can bring Negan with them, whatever they please, and then it's kind of like Rick doesn't have to die, but it can be like a kind of a nice moment. It's like, bye guys, and then I don't know, like 5 seasons down the road, if they want to do something with Rick, then they can bring him back.
Yeah,
that's kind of like a nice little thing. Like, it'll be a nice little send off. It'd be a good thing for the character. It'd be like, you guys have exceeded
like the nod
me. You
at the end of Fury Road.
Yeah, it's like, you
just
don't need me anymore. Go on without me.
Although this is potential spoiler territory, but we obviously haven't seen any insider stuff.
Yeah.
But it was during a Comic-Con interview, I can't remember who with, but it was a very good interview. It was with a lot of the main cast, and they're all saying their goodbyes to Andrew Lincoln, who was there. Michonne's actress, Denai Gira, was
Just
saying...
call it Denai, mate.
She was saying how losing him, because they've now filmed a lot of the rest of the series without him, losing him, them as actors are also mourning as their characters are mourning.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that is indicating a death or if that is just indicating his departure.
I think it will be simultaneous. Like, if it's death or departure, regardless, you are going to mourn, because he is just that. He's the centerpiece of the show. It's like, I think there hasn't really been an episode where he's not at least referenced, or at some point shown in it somehow. Like, that's difficult. He's always in it.
Although I really hope with subsequent trailers and in the next times, they don't do what they did in the Series 10 trailer for Doctor Who, because we knew that was Capaldi's last series. Yeah. And then where in Lie of the Land there was the fake out regeneration. I hope they don't put anything like that in the trailer, just because it's like, we know this is
I think they know that as well, because they've gotten bad blood with that, like when they did the Daryl death fake out at the end of season 6, and it's like, oh, he's been shot, is he dead? No, just shot on the shoulder, he's okay.
And then also with the dumpster stuff,
I think they've kind of very much learned their lesson with that, because fans won't take it. It's part of the reason I've stopped watching, because I'm just kind of sick of it. But I think this trailer gave me definite incentive to maybe consider picking it back up. Also the Whisperers. Yeah, definitely. They've been confirmed. Like, cast, I forget her name. It's really embarrassing. I can't remember. Samantha Morton. Yeah, she's been cast as Alpha, which will be interesting to see. But then again, how do you do that storyline without Rick? How do you do it without Carl as well? Do you think, like when Glenn departed from the show, they really went with it with the prosthetics? Do you think, even if the Whisperers kill Rick and they wear the skins, do you reckon they'd ever wear Rick's skin? Or is that too much? I think that's too much for a network show. I think that would be too much. But it would be a hell of a way to... Then, if they're going to kill him off, what better way to get the entire cast and fandom to hate your new big villain if you have them kill Rick? What bigger way? Like, I know they did it with Negan, like when they killed off half the cast, and it's like, what has he done? I hate him. But then if that was built up to be a big thing, if suddenly the Whisperers just suddenly get Rick, it'd be such shock value. It's like you wouldn't be able to comprehend it. It'd be fantastic. Yeah, but
I like the UK's age rating system for TV shows, like Watershed, anything goes after 9 o'clock. But the American one confuses me because they only get a certain amount of swear words a series.
Yeah, they only get
which makes them more impactful when they come along. But then they can show people's guts coming out and coming off and everything like that, except swear words is where they draw the line.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a bit confusing. But
all in all, I'm excited for it though. I think like they've got an interesting way to go forward with this season, like particularly with Andrew Lincoln. But I think this trailer alone, and I admit Walking Dead has a reputation to cut very well in trailers, but then not actually be good in the real season. But this has got me interested. New showrunner, I think it'll be interesting to see kind of where it evolves to.
And there's no bad CG ideas or anything yet. So,
and I mean, they have got that third spin-off coming. Like the producers said, there is a third spin-off on the way. So
I don't know if they're going to overdo it though.
I think they will at some point. Like there'll come a point where we get. I mean, the zombie craze is dying out.
Yeah.
And I solely watch it for the character moments now, but even then, they're becoming less interesting. So, I don't know where they're going to take the third one.
It was a few years ago, but one of the heads at AMC said that, The Walking Dead can go on forever. We can make it go on forever.
No.
Yeah.
Like the ratings went, particularly from the previous seasons, will not allow you to go on forever.
One of the reasons why Breaking Bad was and still is one of the greatest television shows ever made.
Oh, in my mind it is.
It knew when to end.
Yeah, Vince Gilligan had a very secure plan. He's like, this is it.
And even though Game of Thrones is getting a spin-off, the final series is coming up next year, isn't it?
Yeah, next year.
The final series is coming up next year. They know that they need to end it. And obviously it has a definitive end with like R.R. Martin saying, right, talking to the show
David
makers like, so this is how it's going to end.
Right, and even then, they're not doing it for kind of like narrative purposes. Like Walking Dead is kind of like branching off because they want to tell more stories with Morgan. Sorry, I don't want to call them Negan. Like Morgan and Fear the Walking Dead, they kind of want to be able to make that work. Game of Thrones is like it's going to end its major storyline. It will be done. If they do something in the prequel, it will be something new. Like they're doing the Age of Heroes. That's something we've never seen before. That's something that's only been very kind of briefly alluded to in the books. We haven't got much information at all. So then it's something completely new. Like it's a narrative closing for something new to then start. Exactly like what Breaking Bad was with Better Call Saul.
Would you like to see more experimentation in the Walking Dead universe? So say the new spin-off becomes a comedy or something like that.
Try something different. Like I think it proves it works when you try something different. Like that's why I like oh god, like this is an awful comparison. That's why I like Ragnarok so much. Yeah. Like it does, like it's that tired premise and it's a nothing character and they think, right, let's make this a space comedy, and it's like, oh my god, this is one of the best things I've seen in years.
Imagine Michonne with her katana just going through a sea of walkers to the Immigrant Song.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. How has someone not cut that yet? Just like Immigrant Song plays. That's incredible.
It's like that Mamma Mia meme going around at the minute.
Oh yeah, do it, man. Do it.
Change it to the Immigrant Song.
Dude, I am challenging you. Just put it out there for the world.
I challenge you.
Like, we have many challenges though coming in from the kaiju. That was an awful plug, I know, but in my favourite trailer for Comic-Con 2018, which was the Godzilla King of Monsters. I'm so hyped for this film because I love the 2014 movie. Fuck off to people who hate it. I think it's really good.
I got the 3D Blu-ray of that in Poundland.
Oh, that hurts my soul.
Yeah.
That hurts my soul. It's a fantastic movie, and this one looks even better. Like, they're really, like... I didn't think Mothra was going to be in this. I thought King Ghidorah is going to be in it. That'll probably be it. And you maybe get a sighting of Kong, but nothing. And then, even on top of everything they've put in the trailer, they've promised they've still got other ones that we haven't seen yet. They've promised there are still more kaiju to come, and that's so interesting.
I love it for the sense of action, but it means even less time for character development, which is why I'm really hoping Millie Bobby Brown is this film's Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, I think...
Because while Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen couldn't... Like, their characters couldn't really hold the last film.
No, unfortunately.
I feel like because of the character bit with Bryan Cranston at the start, it set the stakes of the film.
Yeah, can we just say as well, they're a phenomenal cast for this film. Like Millie Bobby Brown, Vera Farmiga, Shea Jackson from Ingrid Goes West. Charles Dance is in this movie. Like, Ken Watanabe's making a return.
Like, bloody hell.
It's like Charles Dance. It looks incredible, like how they've made them work though. Like something I do love about the 2014 movie is like how they imposed the size and the power of Godzilla, and they do it with the Mutos as well. And like you look at Mothra and how it's a giant fucking moth. This is a stupid thing, and yet they make it look terrifying and imposing. They do the same with King Ghidorah. It's like it's a fucking three-headed dragon, and it looks incredible.
Also, the poster for this that they released looks
That's
beautiful.
Probably my favourite poster of the year.
It
if it
looks
wasn't
like
for the Predator poster.
It looks like a classic oil painting. Like in the sea of generic, just the main protagonist turning round. It looks stunning.
The guy who does them is called Christopher Shy, and he does amazing posters. Have you seen the Alien one that he's done?
No.
Remind me after this. I'll show you that. It's on my phone. It's incredible. Like, it melts your eyes. I think, is Kong going to be in this one though? Because they've got the Godzilla versus King Kong in 2020.
I feel they'll hint it at the end of this one then.
I kind of want him in it though a little bit.
I'd love him in it, but if they've got the specific King Kong versus Godzilla, I think that this is going to either be a credit scene or he'll come in at the end of this.
That's what I'd like, kind of like a little bit of like an ending thing, like even if it's they team up at the end and then think like, yeah, we'll fight in the future. But
how great would it be if when Kong comes in, it's like the same moment as when Thor comes in. It's like, bring me Thanos.
Oh, that'd be so
And the
good.
whole audience just cheers and erupts.
Man. Because I loved Kong Skull Island. It was dumb, popcorn fun. I thought it was really fun. And I think they made that look great. And I think it's a worthy successor to Godzilla because it's so different in tone, which is what it needs to be. So I think that when you bring it into this, particularly if you make King of Monsters like really good and you set up like Godzilla as a fucking beast by the end of this film, like, because he's gonna win. It's the King of Monsters. So then it'll make me even more hyped for the Kong versus Godzilla.
That's something that I know you already said about this film, but I feel like this whole franchise is doing because they also did it in Kong very well. The sense of scale.
Oh hell yeah! Like they achieved it so crazy. Like I love that shot in the first one. I think it is your first official shot of Godzilla that you get. It's just his foot. And it's just the size of an airport terminal. It's like, Jesus Christ, this guy's just fucking imposing. And even then in Kong, it's like when he's just ripping the helicopters out of the sky. It's just...
Yeah. Toby Kebbell was fantastic in Kong.
Yeah, I'd love to see him
did the
come back for
motion
this one.
capture as well as being that.
Well, we've got the big monkey guys in Hollywood. Like, you've got Andy Serkis and you've got Toby Kebbell who do the motion capture for, like, Kong and Caesar. Who are the lizard guys who do like Godzilla and Rango? Who are the lizard people that you call in Hollywood? Like, what, I don't know. I was thinking famous lizards. Like who do you call when you need a lizard mocapped? It's like, who do you call?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes. No, I love it if like sometime like Godzilla just spoke and it was just like Steve Buscemi's voice. Just really go out there.
I'd love it if it was Tommy Wiseau.
No, Tommy Wiseau needs to be Kong because then they just like have his dick out the entire film.
Why?
Because he's like in disaster. It's like I need my dick out to sell this movie, and then the whole problem with Kong is like he hasn't got his penis out. We went in a really awkward place with this. I'm excited for Godzilla King of Monsters. It won the Con for me.
I see why it won the Con for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a fantastic trailer.
Yeah.
Like the score for that was super imposing, and it just like makes you feel like, fuck, I'm just so ready to see these guys fight. Not only each other, but Godzilla especially.
Another trailer that was interesting, but this is again a plug for a future episode. The Doctor Who trailer. But
yeah, we'll be coming back to that at a later date. I'm not a fan, but we'll get to it later.
So now we're going to our reviews.
Yeah.
Today we're reviewing the first and second of Brad Bird's fantastic Incredibles.
These are probably my favourite Pixar films. Like, the first one at least is my favourite.
Yeah, the Fox can't make a Fantastic Four film because Pixar already made it.
Yeah, Screen Junkies puts it so incredibly well. Like, these are two of the best superhero films. Like, I've seen that one is an amazing satirical commentary on it. The other is just a balls to the wall action fest, comedy, fun,
With
great
character,
great family dynamic, and it just works. And both of them shouldn't have. Like, Pixar wasn't known for this kind of stuff. Brad Bird, complete outsider, and yet he comes in twice, and he does it amazingly twice.
And he wrote this by himself. He's the only credited writer for both films.
And then I'm gonna put it hands down, like, they're the two best, like, in recent years, animated Pixar films we've had. Like, the best one ever animated is Finding Nemo. It's the best Pixar film of all time, but this looked incredible. Like, both of them still, like, especially the first one, it really holds up. And then the second one, like, even tops it.
There are a few shots in the first one, not where I was going like, ooh, but I was going like, oh yeah, that sort of shows its age. But if you showed it to me now and went, yeah, this came out last week,
you wouldn't question it. You really wouldn't. It's only the fact that we know.
Yeah.
And I think the second one is a testament. I would honestly be surprised if this didn't win Best Picture for animated, because it looks...
for animated, yeah.
It looks amazing. Like, that sequence when she's running over the rooftops, and it is the colours and the lights effects. It looks incredible. Like, that was stunning.
The thing Brad Bird does incredibly well in his animation, which is one of the reasons why Pixar brought him in the first place, is he does the nuances of characterization really well. So, like, at the start of the first Incredibles, when they're there in the interviews, like, the little gestures that they have really just show who these people are.
And I think he's a fantastic director as well. He did it with Iron Giant as well. He doesn't settle. Like, he's like, we can't make that work. We haven't got the money for that. He's like, well, you find a way around it. We're going to push this film to make it perfect.
Yeah, like with Violet's hair.
Yeah.
That took a lot. And it still looks brilliant.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, and they did it. And it's just a testament to not only the capability of Bird, but Pixar as well. Like, they are just that company that persists.
Well, they started off as like a PC company, just doing this certain hardware and software. And then to show what the software was capable of, they made a short film. And they were like, we really enjoyed this. Yeah. And then like John Lasseter just kept going with it.
It's like when they did Bug's Life. I was like reading an anecdote about that. They were saying, like, kind of like behind the scenes, it's like, mate, honestly, we're only going to be able to get about 20 ants on screen here. He's like, no, we will have 600. And you can see 600 ants. It's like, they just don't stop, and they just keep... Although the quality of the narrative is decreasing, Pixar film-wise, the quality of the animation is always increasing. Always.
Yeah, they're always pushing the boundaries in some respect. Like The Good Dinosaur, while the characters were themselves cartoony and over the top.
To DreamWorks.
The landscapes and stuff
just
was stunning.
Fantastic. Like, there's not a Pixar film that looks bad.
Yeah, and even though you could argue that the quality of the story's decreasing, you still get gems like Inside Out. You still, because they are Disney-like. Yeah, Pixar earns money. They know what they're doing. Let's just give them time and time to work on it, and that's what they do.
Incredibles is like always been my favourite Pixar film. I think it just speaks so well to me. We'll kind of like do this. We'll go for Incredibles 1. We'll go to Incredibles 2 now. Like, Incredibles 1 just works so well because it is the fantastic family movie. Like, this is one of the very few kids films I can remember my dad would watch as a young child. Like, yeah, we watched Gladiator and we watched Mission Impossible as a kid, but then when there were the moments where we wanted to watch something as a family, Incredibles always work because it works so fantastically, where there are those gleeful kid moments where it's like, what are you waiting for? I don't know, something incredible, I guess. That's like, everyone enjoys that. But then when it's the little moments when it's like Syndrome's at the door, he's like, she's like, what's with the S? It's like, oh, it stands for sitter. I was going to have a big BS, but you know what that means. It's a timeless kind of dynamic where it can work for so many levels of audiences.
And it's something that Pixar does really well. And like some Illumination Entertainment ones push it a bit too far, whereas Pixar's still subtle. And yes, they have the more adult stuff, but also, as well as that, this is just a funny film.
Oh, good grief. Like, there are so many just moments with these characters. Like, when he's like trying to push it, stop it from being pushed into the lava, and he's like, "Oh, my back!" Just a little.
Yeah, and then it's just pulling him, and then it suddenly clicks, and
he's like, "I did it." He is just
also when that henchman's trying to get him through the thing, and his stomach's in the way. It's doof, doof, doof. This film, I saw it as a kid when it was in the cinema, and I had to leave because the bit with the black orbs after it just looked at Kronos,
that's
and the bit with the black orbs where they just keep growing. As a 4-year-old child,
that's horrible.
It was a bit intense for me, so I left. But it was on BBC Three every Christmas
I miss
at
those
9
days.
o'clock, and now we have like the DVD and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I put it on at least 5 times a year because it's incredible.
And it is just so rewatchable, and there's so much to just find and discover in each rewatch.
And like, it's the kind of perfect film where, if you're a film person, you can learn so much from this, like character development, how to write comedy, most importantly, how to shoot action, because there are so many fucking great sequences in this.
The way Brad Bird moves the hypothetical camera, and how I saw a great video essay on it, on how he likes 3 distinct points in his shot. So he starts on something, then it moves to one thing, and then it goes to another without cutting. And that works especially well in action.
Like, it really speaks to the testament of this film, when this is a children's superhero film, and my favourite scene in the film is where the lives of children are threatened as they're about to be blown up by a missile, and their father is desperately begging to call off the missiles. That's a fucking incredible scene. That's like so well shot and scored.
That's
and
how you
just
do
acted.
dark parts in a kid's film.
Yeah, that's where you really push the boat out and say, like, yeah, this matters.
Like, people say Bambi, people like will shut down, obviously.
Yeah.
And while those films are intense and they do have those moments,
especially Watership Down, man.
and like the
6-year-old Zack did not need to see that. Shut up about the Lion King. Watership Down was far worse. That like killed me as a kid. Like, bunnies, why are they killing each other? Why is this Vietnam? Why? Why? Why?
Why, Lisa? Why?
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
But while they do have those intense scenes, and Warship Down's in its own category, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's just pretend I didn't say Warship Down.
Thank you.
But for Zack's therapy's sake.
Thank you.
But this has those intense moments, and then it's like, we survived, but we're dead.
We're dead.
We're dead.
And I think the fact the action moments work so well because it just does install the family dynamic and the fact that you care about those characters. Like,
and they are relatable. We've all had those meals. It's not like It's not like the meal in Hereditary where it's I am your mother. It's just like the relatable family dynamic.
You want me to engage? I'm engaging. How fast were you running, kid? Cutting the play. It's just.
I also love how casual they are with their powers. Like, the world feels lived in, which it is, because Elastigirl just reaches over to get something, and then like holding the kids up, and then Mr. Incredible comes in and he just holds up the table, and then Jack's just there laughing. The way that they're just used to using their powers in everyday life.
And that's what I like about so much with this film, because when it does come to the action sequences, they each get their own little set moment, and they each get their own little character moment where it's like, especially with the parents, when they're allowed to do hero work again, and the kids are allowed to do it for the first time. They've been using it in their lives so much, but then they each get the little character moment within the set piece that like makes you realise, like, fuck, I am a superhero. Like, when there's that beautiful moment when it's like Dash is just like running and he hits the water and he like puts his hands in his face because he thinks he's gonna go in, and he's still running. He just looks at his feet and he's like, just a little giggle, and it's just like, yes, that's what a superhero film should be. That's what a character moment needs to be. Like, even in that plane scene when she's like screaming at Violet, like, put a force field around the plane, and she can't do it, and that's just an incredible moment that then gets brought back to later because she can do it, and it's development. Not just like in a film, but like in this animated little children's film, there's so much nuance to it. There's so much like clever moments that you can watch one scene and you're impressed by it. And we'd be awful people if we didn't talk about Edna.
Edna Mode.
Just
Brad Bird is hilarious as Edna. He is fantastic.
I feel if we ever look back in years to come, like when Brad Bird unfortunately passes, like his greatest achievement is just those Edna scenes. Just that scene where she's showing him the costumes, and then when she's just like smacking the shit out of Elastica with like a newspaper.
I have never met any sane person, or any person for that matter, on this planet that does not like Edna Mode.
Yeah, I think there's a reason they made her a great part of the trailers, like because she's just so.
She has her own poster for a reason.
Yeah, she's just so funny, like, and she kind of like wholeheartedly links back into why this film is so great for adults as well, because it's not just a super film; it's fucking like 60s spy thriller. Like, there's so much of this that like is just harkening back to old cinema and like old movie moments that it just works really well as a final product. And it's not just like its own movie, but as kind of like a homage to those old films that Bird clearly grew up with, because you can just spot the moments throughout it.
Yeah.
Like, best villain in a comic book movie, like in a long while with Syndrome.
Like it's like in Spider-Man films where they have, it's someone Peter knows, and while that works well, and then with this one, it's like you feel for the dude. It's like when Mr. Incredible's there, it's like, fly home, kid. I work alone.
Oh, it's just like.
And Jason Lee is really good in this.
Like the scene where he just tears down the poster, and it's just like, because that character is fantastic, because not only is it like a really cool like dissection of like the over the top villain where he's like, you got me monologuing, you sly dog, but it's also an amazing dissection of kind of like his origin, in the sense that Bird completely predicted the toxic fan element. Like he
just look at Star Wars.
Yeah, like, it's like, I have this ownership, like, you don't live up to what I believe in, so I hate you, and I'm allowed to ruin your life. Like, and he kind of predicted it just so amazingly, and then just rationalised it within a character, and it's totally relatable. Like, you feel for the guy.
Yeah.
Like, even at the end when he's, like, screaming, like, I will get you, and it's like, come on, man.
Like, heroes just as good as their villain. And here the villain is fantastic. Sorry.
Women.
Got notifications.
And then, like, even he gets his great character moments as well. Like, when he's, like, just taunting him when he's in the cage, and, like, when they've just saved the day and he's realised he's lost his opportunity, he's like, no. And it's just... A lesser film wouldn't try it. And with this one, they do.
And even at the end, with his death, they really push it.
That's, like, dark.
Like, he should have gone to Edna Mode, and then he would still be around.
Yeah, there's no... You would never get that in a Disney or a Pixar film today. That's like... I'm glad they cut away from it, but even still, the implication of it, you just wouldn't get that in this kind of thing these days. Yeah, and even when
Edna's talking earlier in the film, no capes, and then it shows, like, obviously it stays on the person in the window, but then they get pulled back.
Yeah.
It's like bloody hell, that person is dead.
Yeah, like, not just dead, shredded to pieces.
Yeah, it's like in Fargo, just with the woodcutter.
Oh, it's like, you can't bury... wood chipper. Yeah, you can't bury this person. They're gone.
And also the implication for that plane, because...
Oh yeah, you've seen someone
you just get a bird in the engine. That plane has a lot of struggle, like a lot of problems. With a human person being in the engine, in the turbine, bloody hell.
I love how we're dissecting that.
Also, I saw like a Tumblr post that was talking about like the tragedy of Edna Mode and how there's pain behind the eyes of when she's like, no capes, because she designed those costumes for those people, heroes. Yeah. She killed them.
There's something as well, like, it is just... They work very, very hard with a lot of superhero costumes like in the movies these days. I don't think I've ever really seen a more iconic costumes than just those costumes.
It's like, so simple.
It's just the simplicity of it, and it's the brightness. Like it, and even when they go back into their old superhero costumes, they look fantastic as well. They're such the homage again to the classic like 50s comic book era. But then when you come in with the bright colours, they just look so, and they look amazing when you're watching them. Like just to see them move, and it's just splendid for the eyes.
For my sister's 16th birthday party, she had a Disney-themed thing where everyone dressed up.
That's
fantastic. For her 16th.
Yeah,
so
favourite person.
As the family hosting, we all decided to dress up as the Incredibles. So I was Dash.
Like, Just adopt me. Like I would live here.
We had the dog as Jack.
That's incredible. That's just.
There was even a bouncy castle in the garden.
That's a work of art, man.
All our mates are dressed up as like Disney princesses and stuff. No, we were the Incredibles.
Yeah, I love your family, man. That's like. That's the kind of thing I wish. Like, that's the sort of thing that you see in like the perfect family film. It's like, this is that cool family. It's like.
It's the sort of thing that's in the montage at the start of films, like the cringy shit that families do.
Like, this is like if they're doing the James and the Giant Peach remake, it's like you're the happy part before the rhino arrives and kills the family. And then it's just Jake singing to himself, remembering the family birthday party where you're all dressed up as the Incredibles in like the horrible montage.
And then my aunties are there like, okay.
That's just horrible, man. Oh god! And there's so many fucking funny moments in this film.
Oh like, yeah.
My always favourite moment is just in the very beginning when he's like he's pranking the teacher and he's just going like, coincidence? I think not.
I think not. It's him. Look, you can see it there.
You can see it. And then just the other moment is like, now Bob, I'm not happy, Bob.
When the company's not happy, I'm not happy.
Do you know what a company is like?
It's like a clock.
Yes! Very good! Because it only works when all the little pieces come together.
I also just love the moment in that scene where he's got the doorknob and then he lets go and it's crushed.
Oh.
Then also when it cuts to him going through the wall and then you're like, bloody hell, and then the camera just moves. It's just like so many walls.
Like people like,
But
and then like even the moment as well when it's like, this message will self-destruct in 15 seconds, and it just goes up with the sprinkler system
like,
house,
no,
and then you just hear Elastic go downstairs. He's like, Bob.
It doesn't even need to show their faces, just the voices of the whole cast, and just
Bob, and just sighs.
But the best moment in all of Pixar, and I will stand by this till the day I die. The best moment in Pixar and this film. Where is my super suit?
I'm glad we came to this point. Like, I thought we were going to end the show with it, but that was fantastic. That's because I went on a hiatus with this and hadn't seen it in a long while. I for many years hadn't realised it was Samuel Jackson who was Frozen. I come back and it's oh my god, he's him. And you go back and you rewatch it and you think, yeah, they really don't give him a lot to do in this film.
Yeah.
And then it's that moment. It's
honey,
you hired him for the right reason.
I am your wife. I'm the greatest good y'all ever gonna get.
My evening is in danger. Just and the fact that they pay a little bit of homage to the second one, it just works. Like, it's one of those timeless moments where it's been 14 years and we're still watching that scene, we're still laughing, it's still funny.
Honey,
where's my super suit? Can I also make a point as well with this one? This has got my favourite trailer for probably all time. Do you remember the trailer they released for this film?
I was 3, Zack.
Oh no, like, oh mate. It was Mr. Incredible in his office, and like, he's got the phone, and he's like, Mr. Incredible, we need you. He's like, I'll be right there. And he puts the costume on, and it's just him trying to do up the belts.
That was the short film.
That was the short film they made.
That was a short film.
Oh, it was a short film, was it? I thought it was like a little trailer. Because I can remember seeing that in like the cinema.
Yeah, it was the short film they released.
Oh, that's probably my favourite thing they ever did for the Incredibles.
I love it, it's great. Like, he's just trying to put the belt on.
And she's like, honey, do you want anything? Like, maybe just a salad. It encapsulated exactly what you were going to get with this film, and then they just build on it tenfold.
It's like, obviously, the films aren't perfect, but it's like the character stuff that they released with Michael Fassbender for the new Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Like, it's small, interesting things like that into the world, but it doesn't spoil what the film's about. Yeah. It gives you a snippet of what it's going to be and what it's going to be like.
Yeah, and tone is just perfect within that little short film.
It's almost like
it works exactly the same way.
It's almost like a really short pilot to a series.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets you hooked on it, and if you like it, you like it and you're on board. And if you don't like it, then you're a crazy person.
Yeah. It's a shame they can't have more things like that, but it's just because it is money. Like, they don't have the budget to do it, and trailers are more appealing, but it'd be an interesting tactic to like use. Like I give you like 2 minutes of the film, and it's like, right, you want more? Come and see it next month.
Now, if it's an established property, then they'd
they've
have the budget to do it. Like with Marvel just putting in like completely fake shots, like for Infinity War, but if it was a newer property, I think they would struggle.
Get a little bit more.
Unless, well, it is Disney. They put as much money into anything.
Well, that's why it doesn't work as well in this time age, the first one, because the first one it knows what it is, and it's a very satirical idea of like the superhero image. Because back in like 2004, wasn't it 2005 or 4 this one came out? 2004, you didn't have many of superhero films. You had X-Men, you had Blade, you had Spider-Man. That was probably it. And then...
X-Men.
And X-Men, yeah. To be able to build something like this, to like then have that satirical look on what it was good, because you didn't have many things. Today, it's completely absurd. You can't do that because superhero fandom is everywhere. People love it. People idolise it. So then when you build the second one, you build it less as the satirical output on that. You build it the satirical image on the family dynamic. That works a lot better.
I love how... Going to the second one?
Yeah, we probably will now go into the second one.
I love how... Right, we're now going into the second one. And I love how in this one... Brad Bird's like, right, so all this stuff, this comic, the superhero bubble, let's just show him how it's done.
Yeah.
And then he just comes back and he's like, right, that's how you do it. See you later, kids. He's like, see you around, kid. And then that's like...
Yeah. Wholeheartedly, I went into this expecting to not be impressed. Like, I went in with this with low expectations, and it was thrown against the wall. Like, I was beaten to near inch of my life with how impressed I was with this film. It doesn't exceed the first film, but action and laughs, it exceeds the first film. Like
and heartfelt moments, I would argue, barrels and barrels of it.
Like, the thing I love so much about the first one is it's got that tension, it's got the extremely engaging narrative, it's got the interesting commentary. That's perfect for the first one, and then this one builds off the second one. It's like, we can give you more of that, but it's just going to be lesser of what the first one was. So let's build something new, like a different premise. Let's kind of make this more comedy-esque. And I know that won't work with as many like parents, but it will work great with the kids, and it will work with some parents. I really enjoyed this, and I'm an adult, so
we're somewhat adults.
Yeah, we're somewhat adults. Like, it was just. It built so much out of the first one. Like, just the look and tone was completely the same. Like, the characters were back. The animation was perfect.
I love the opening scene to get you into this film.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the interviews again, but it's with... I can't remember his name. Tony,
yeah.
It's with Tony. And it also sets up the slightly more caricature animation style with the larger eyes and stuff. Yeah. Perfectly on board with. But it sets the... opening scene as a horror with like when the Underminer comes out and all
people
the
terrified,
like all cars are flipping and I'll be back. It does set this back up as a horror film with cars flipping, the ground coming up, and it's almost like what they did with in Civil War with the Sokovia Accords, because in Age of Ultron you're desensitized to it. This whole city's coming up, and you don't feel anything. Like, you're just in there for the action, and it's a lot of fun. They don't give you that character moment stuff the same as they did in the first Avengers. But then in Civil War they show it again. They're like, this amount of people died, this is not okay, and everything like that, and it shows the darker side that tends to be shied away from in these 12A films.
And I think that's why it works so well, like, as kind of like it's a sentiment to kind of like the premise of the original film, like superheroes are illegal. Like, very much in the first film when he's doing the superhero acts, like, he does hurt people, you see it solely from his perspective, and you agree with him. He is being a hero. He's caused damage, but he is trying to do his best. In this film, seeing it from Tony's perspective, it really does give you an incentive to realise, like, these people sometimes cause more harm than they do good, and it kind of like gives you kind of like, it doesn't like immediately set the film up as like, oh, you should instantly be on their side. It kind of like gives you the element of like, I can kind of realise that this isn't really right what they're doing for their family. Like, they could just settle down, they could stop, but they don't want to, and you kind of realise that, which is something I like. And then also with the beginning, like, you talk about that, where it's like it's doing the interviews again. pays such homage to the fact if you've seen the original Jack Attack,
I
like
love that.
little scene where she's being interviewed, it's got that machine back and it's Rick Dickard, and then they're using that. That's like a little brilliant thing. It's like fans of the original think, oh, that's that thing again. You know what's coming. They're gonna mind wipe the guy. That was annoying that I didn't see that because the second they said Rick Dickard, I just wanted to like, ew like this. Wasn't that film just like a complete Breaking Bad reunion though? Like you had,
I was about to
Mike,
say that.
you had Better Call Saul in it. Just everyone was there.
I recognised Mike straight away just because he was like this.
Money.
I am Mike Ehrmantraut. But it took me a little minute to get like, hang on, who was that? That's not Jason Lee again. Oh, it's Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, like I knew Bob Odenkirk was in it because I'd seen the trailer, but like even then when you see him,
avoided. I had no clue what was going on.
I saw the first one just because it was like in the cinema and I couldn't really kind of avoid it. But it was like, you know he's in it, and he's actually pretty good in this film.
Yeah.
Like, minor role.
He doesn't get a lot to do, but I think everyone's just it's almost like Star Wars at this point. Everyone wants to be an extra in a Star Wars film.
Oh yeah,
like they even got the English royal family to be stormtroopers in The Last Jedi.
It's like you ask, you don't even have to ask me. I will do this for free.
And
you can take money from me to be in this.
It's like everyone just wants to be in The Incredibles.
Yeah.
And with the whole cast are on top game with this. Like
voice where they've never been gone in my mind.
People have been criticising, oh yeah, Dash doesn't sound the same. It's a different kid. They can't get him to sound the same.
No.
And to me, he sounded more like Hogarth from Iron Giant.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I'm not complaining. He was a lot of fun in this.
Yeah.
He had a lot to do. If he was a bad child actor, then I'd be like, they could have got someone else. Yeah. But he worked with it. He was a lot of fun. He did really well.
Isn't it fantastic when one of the only real criticisms you can have for this film is, oh yeah, some of the voices weren't really how I liked. Like, it's a real testament to how good this film is. And we talk a lot about like kind of the action. The first one, there's a crap ton of good action set pieces in this film. Like when she's having the chase across the rooftops, like the opening sequence in itself. Like they kind of like really doubled down on that. Like we're gonna give some of the stuff you came in for the first film for, like especially with like the big final sequence of the boat on the end.
A lot of people have been asking because of how the Underminer's set up at the end of the first one and then how he gets away in this one.
Oh, that pissed me off so much.
No, they're like,
I wanted them to stop him. It pissed me off so much.
Now everyone's like, oh, do you reckon they're setting it up for Incredibles 3 for the Underminer? And why didn't they stop him? I'm like, did you not play the PlayStation 2?
I played the game, and I was like, let's redo this. Let's do this properly this time. Don't just give me some PS2 game. I was like, no, he just goes. And he's just gone. It's like, it's barely 5 minutes. Even then, he's just fighting the drill. It's just like, oh, come on. That's what I wanted the first half of this film to be, like Elastigirl hunting him down, like, dealing with the bloke, and then you introduce, because I think the screenslaver thing is a bad idea. Like,
I think it's a good idea.
It was just so rushed. Like the introduction was just, in my opinion, just very rushed.
It was very rushed, but when they caught that dude, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that was clearly not." He was clearly under the influence.
That's why it felt poor. Like if they'd done this with, she's hunting down the Underminer, and then the actual villain, we won't say yet, is using that to kind of like build up the motive behind things.
I think I've already spoiled some of it by saying it wasn't the first dude that they get.
Yeah, but we haven't said who it is yet, have we?
I think we should just go
all right,
straight
fine.
spoilers.
It is the sister of Bob Odenkirk. Like,
I predicted it.
Yeah, instantly.
I think everyone predicted it. But
the second they sat down and had a meaningful conversation, it was like, it's her. Clearly.
Yeah. Like I wasn't throughout it. I wasn't sure if I think they were setting it up to be a misdirect with Bob Odenkirk's character of the brother.
They've got to build it for the kids. Like that's kind of a criticism of the first one.
But I don't see it as a problem that it's predictable in this one because I didn't come here for a shocking revelation.
No, I came here for like fun.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And in this film, how much does Bob Odenkirk's character look like Seth Meyers? Do you see it?
Scary amount.
How time I was watching it, I was like, it just looks like Seth Meyers. But I thought that the villain was actually pretty good.
She was very strong.
Yeah, it wasn't a big revelation, and I really like the voice of the actress who does it. She's the one in Get Out.
Yeah, she is.
I can't remember her name, which is annoying me.
About,
but
she's fantastic.
She has a great voice.
I think they build her up so well as well. Like
she has a great motive.
You talk about Syndrome, like how that you can see the one side of the argument for him. It's perfectly the same with her, because she's so right. Like her way of dealing with her demons is wrong, of course, but
it's like
you completely get where she's coming from. You sympathise for her at the end when she's like.
It's like earlier when we said heroes only because they're villains. Also, the other saying, the villains are the heroes of their own story. Like when we were talking about how in the first one when Bob's trying to do good, we see it from his perspective. Others do see it as him being the villain.
Because he can't help it.
In this one, she thinks that she's doing the right thing. She genuinely thinks that she's doing the right thing.
And just nice little thing that I like little touch they did. It's like when he's saying about like how her father had like the superhero phones. I like how they make reference to both to Gager Beam and Bob Vironic, because that's a great little nod to the first little film. Like I just liked it was like Gager Beam, and I was like, that's just perfect. That's little Easter eggs. That's perfect.
Rewatching the first one before I went to see this one, he's there at the wedding. He's there in the background, and then in the newspapers and stuff, like, and then that added weight to when he was on the island, because as a kid I never noticed that.
And that's why I like this one, because it was an Easter egg that wasn't in your face. Like they put it on there. If you didn't know, you wouldn't know the difference. If you knew, they didn't just scream about it like they do in the Marvel movies.
If that was in Ready Player 1, they'd be like, look at us, we're being really cool, we're being really clever.
Yeah. Or like
look, it's Chucky.
It's Howard the Duck. It's like, once you go duck, you don't run out of luck. It's just. That was a clever little thing that I liked. They had restraint to kind of show it.
I'd love to see what Brad Bird thought of Iron Giant in Ready Player One, because obviously I doubt he would have had any control, because they'd have Warner Bros. So they would have just been like, yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. I think they would have maybe, because like they've always like been quite respectful of Iron Giant. Like they've never done a sequel without him, even though there's quite a cult demand for it. Like especially with Ready Player One, I think there would have been some questions. Like,
I
are you
don't
okay
want a
with this?
sequel
Maybe.
of the Iron Giant.
No, I don't either. But
I love it. It's
lots of people do.
Is.
I don't. But and there is a cult following to make money off it. But that's just.
I mean, with The Incredibles 2, Brad Bird has given me confidence that he would know what to do.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he was interested to return solely because he wanted to look at the family dynamic again, and also the fact that it's...
The family dynamic here is so perfect.
And then also the relationship dynamic in the sense that she's going back to work and not him. Like, it's doing the female hero, and that's an interesting slant.
Because Bob, Mr. Incredible, he wants to see his wife succeed, and he wants to be there to support her. And while he's loving it that she's loving it, and he wants to be there for his family, he's also struggling with him wanting to be the one in the spotlight. And so it's then putting him in that different situation, that different dynamic. It was so good, because he was just there like, I want to be a good dad.
I'm terrified to have kids because of this film.
Oh, this film made me excited for it.
No, being a single parent made me very scared. Like, that's... Like, they've got superpowers and they're still scary. Like, a normal child would be terrifying. Like, it made me very scared. Oh my god, is this going to be me? Like, he looks like he's in hell.
But I did also love the bit where Elastigirl's on the phone and she's there like, oh, are they all right? No, I'm coming home. And he's like, no, they're fine. And then he's like, how was it? And then she suddenly goes, I loved it!
Yeah,
and
that was so good.
Moments like that.
And then he's just dying on the end of the phone. It's like,
he's like, oh, great, honey. I loved how they just adapted and progressed these characters. It wasn't just a rehashing of all the nostalgic points for the first one. And while it had callbacks because of how fantastic the first one is, it did it in a way where it then still became its own thing.
It doesn't boast off the success of the first one. Like, I think Guardians 2 does that a little bit. It's like, oh, we had a fun time last time, let's go back in and do it again. This one like builds you up on the front of like, imagine you've never ever seen the first one. We're going to take you on an interesting ride regardless though, and you're still going to love this, if not equal to the first one. And I think they achieve that.
Oh, like, yeah.
Everyone's got something to do in this film. Like, particularly the kids, like Violet and Dash. Dash has got the whole thing about the Incredicar. That's really cool that they brought that back. Violet's got the relationship drama. I'm glad that wasn't just some little subplot. That actually worked quite well. Those were some of the funniest moments.
At the end,
like especially when she snorts. That was so
become a bit of a meme.
That was probably the funniest moment of the film.
Good.
That got the largest laugh when I was in the theatre and I saw that. That was. And again, it would have been easy just to kind of ignore them, but they do so much more with them, even though they're not the big part of the story. Like, it could just be an urge just to leave them behind, but they make it work. And you get all those fantastic action sequences in the first one where it really displays what Mr. Incredible can do. This one, they really show off Elastigirl. Like, she's essentially Spider-Man. She's a hang glider.
she does anything, everything. She is in full power of herself, what she wants to do, her body, her everything. She is such a fascinating character.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of also interesting because in the first one, like she's kind of restrained in how she fights. She's very protective, and she's building like the shields and kind of the things to like trip stuff. That's because she's got the kids there. She's very worried about them. But when she's free by herself, she's so much more offensive. Like she's doing like the multiple punches and like the tying people up. That's a lot more interesting how they could decide to like kind of change that. Like, oh, mum's away for the weekend. Let's change how she works.
And when it had that chase scene going through the apartment.
That was incredible.
And how she's like bumping into people and she's still going sorry as she's running and trying to pursue him.
That's her wholeheartedly. Must admit though, that scene with the light box, how has this film not been given an epilepsy warning?
Yeah.
That was shocking.
The light box I didn't find as bad. It was when it was on the train and it was flashing then that I thought,
no, I think
hang on.
The light box I had to look away at, that was like full on, like that was just, that was even a bit much for me. That was like really, it looked amazing. It was one of the best sequences in the film.
Yeah, like visually it looked really good.
It was stunning, but Jesus Christ, that would hurt.
Was a lot.
Yeah. Highly recommend if you see this and have epilepsy, like hands over eyes, stop. Like,
I'd say maybe wait for the home release.
Yeah, do something to try and avoid it. Maybe skip through it.
I'd like it if, I don't think they ever would because they didn't even have an epilepsy warning for it. But
or just anything prone to seizures at all.
If for the home release they had a special one where instead of it being flashes, it was like a certain colour, say it was a blue thing. Yeah. So while they obviously wouldn't do that would be a good thing for them to do so that people with epilepsy can still watch it. Yeah. But at some points I was like, hang on, that's a bit much.
Yeah. It felt very third acty for me. Like the third act in the first film works amazingly. The third act in this film is hit or miss.
Really?
I was getting some of the jokes were kind of like really not landing in the third act. And then it was kind of like, it was getting like to like, oh yeah, let's do the generic bit. Like I kind of wanted a little bit more of a battle of ideology. Like I kind of like, because there are so many of those great scenes in this film where they are talking, they're discussing the issue, and then when it comes to the forefront at the end, it's like, oh, let's just have a fist fight. It's like I kind of wanted them to talk more. There's just that one moment where it's like, yeah, let's put the fists away. Let's like have them make the discussion. Have Bob chip in, like have him apologise, have him say like, we can't always be incredible. Like we can't always do the things we need to, and just because we're human, that would have been such, in my mind, a more interesting step to take. I know you can't because it's a kids' film, it's an action film. You've got to build like that final scene, but that's what felt more earned for me. Well,
I agree with you somewhat. I did still really enjoy the third act because
it works.
Because when I said Brad Bird comes in and he shows other films how it's done, it doesn't have a beam in the sky. It's not a world-ending plot, because while Infinity War was refreshing and was a very good film, it still had the big bad world-ending plot, universe-ending plot. But here in The Incredibles, it's the smaller scale, but with the bigger implications.
Yeah, and that's why it works. This is a moment I had to pull out. You know the scene when the boat starts taking off, like it sort of turns into a bit of an aeroplane?
Yeah.
When we were in the theatre, I just turned to Boulder and I just went, "It's the Valiant!" He just went mad. That was fantastic. It hit me the second I saw it and I was like, yeah, man. I think we're missing the elephant in the room as well. I think we can kind of close this saga of The Incredibles because we need to discuss the absolute highlight of the film, Edna and Jack. These were the funniest scenes. They were incredible in the namesake. Like I wanted a whole film where it was just Jack.
Like where this film worked so well in progressing the pre-existing characters. They not only did that for the family, they did that for Edna as well, because they knew that fans wanted Edna, and there were cheers from the audience when
second she came on, we clapped.
As soon as he came to the gates, they were like,
yes, bitch. It was, every single scene was just hilarious that he was in. Like,
yes, darling, come in, darling. I will do it for free as long as I will be your exclusive designer, darling.
And then even Jack, it's just they just found a way
He's such
to
a
make
lovable
him so funny. Like,
baby because
I thought it was going to get annoying. It never did.
In so many films, babies can get annoying, and in this one, they do it and they do it well.
It worked just flawlessly. Like I was just
like the raccoon bit didn't even get tedious.
Oh my god!
Like that was just funny, and then like the terror in the raccoon's face.
I'd seen the raccoon on the poster, so I wondered what that was about. And then when it came around, I was like, "Yeah, this is incredible."
Do you reckon that's Rocket, and this is indeed what happens after Guardians?
Oh no!
No, after Infinity War, he's there scrounging for scraps, and he's just terrorized by a baby.
You're a dick, man. People were just in hysterics with those scenes, man. It just. The fact that they're all reacting to the baby, it's just like the baby's doing crazy things. It took Jack Attack and it made it feature length, and it just works so well. Like, I'd watch just the whole film with just him and Edna.
Also, while I think on it, something that I did love was when they were trying to do Dash's homework for math. And it's like, how can they change math?
That is a scene that happened in my real life because my mum and dad could not do that. That was perfect. This is like, yes.
Because my dad, who does maths like on a very high level with his job, he comes in and he looks at my homework and he's like, this isn't maths.
Yeah, this isn't maths.
I can show you a much easier way to do this.
But that's not the way they want me to do it, Dad. I'll lose marks. It's like, why would you change math?
And it was just the beautiful moment of Mr. Incredible staying up, like getting back up out of bed, going through it, and then he wakes Dash up like, I figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful moments.
Like he tries to take them to the restaurant to try and impress Tony with Violet, although it ruins the relationship. It's just the adorable dad. It's like he's just trying.
Yeah.
It's like, give me some leeway. I'm
like,
trying harder.
He knows how to do the hero stuff. Yes, like they pointed out, he does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But it's him then progressing and trying on to do the dad stuff, and that was a beautiful stuff that I really enjoyed.
I have a complaint. You know, at the very beginning when they're staying in the motel, and Lucius turns up and he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy wants to meet with us. You should come. Wear your old costumes." This is the most awful looking thing in the world when they're wearing their old costumes and the kids are like, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? And they're just wearing a very small overcoat that covers barely any of the suit. They're so clearly going out. And it's like the kids don't even question. It's like, I can quite clearly see the logo there.
Like in the first one, when that similar bit happened, and even in this one, at the end when that happened, the kids then went after them. So I was thinking, oh, okay, so the kids are then going to go after them.
It's just it annoyed me a little bit because it's like, come on,
if they
guys.
made it slightly less obvious, like there was a little bit of grey at the top, like a tiny bit, and then maybe like it was a full trench coat, and then maybe you just saw red under, and then Violet gives it a suspicious look. But
I did love it in this film though, where Elastigirl gets the new costume and does shots fired at DC. She's like, "What's this? I'm Elastigirl. I'm not all dark and gritty. I'm not in that universe." It's like, yes, well done.
It's like the bit in Deadpool 2. What are we, the DC universe?
All in all, this set a strong precedent for, I think, Pixar can do good sequels. Like, Pixar for me hasn't had a hit since 2015.
Yeah.
Coco was brilliant, but not really up there for Pixar in my mind. Yeah. This wasn't the best they could have ever done, but it was really good. Really fun. I had a great time watching this. It's not like Finding Dory at all. That had me falling asleep and watching
I still haven't seen that.
You've basically seen it if you've seen the trailer. And then this was just like a really fun, enjoyable little thing to just jump into. And I think this is how they should approach their sequels if they're going to keep on doing them. And that's just why it works for me personally.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film.
If you enjoyed the first one, you will definitely find something to enjoy in this one. It's not superior, but it's certainly up there.
So that's our review of the first Incredibles and the second Incredibles. Really enjoyed both of them. Absolutely fantastic. Right, so now we go into one of our weekly segments, the Quickfire Question. I'll have the stats from last week.
Cool.
Zack asked the question, who's the best fighter in the industry in Hollywood? He said Keanu Reeves. I said Jackie Chan. We got 28 votes, and
thank you very much for all the votes.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the votes. Zack won with 61% on Keanu Reeves, and I got 39 on Jackie Chan. So now
That's nearly neck and neck there. I like that.
Yeah. So now the scores for the quickfire questions are 1 each.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, that was a very good question.
Yeah, thank you.
But
I'm interested to see where you go with this.
But I thought, you know, with your quickfire questions, you've related it back to what we've spoken about in the episode. And so my quickfire question, with the start of this film, with Tony reminiscing on the moments, it felt like a horror in places because it was scary, it was tense. So I proposed the question, almost like what you said in a previous episode about reimagining a film as an
I
indie
see what you're doing
film.
with this.
Reimagine a film as a horror. And my pick...
When you say film, do you mean anything? Or do you mean like an animated kind of kids film?
No.
Oh, anything.
Any film that's not a horror and not even a thriller. Like, it has to be something either like a rom-com or something like that. And my film that I would reimagine as a horror film is Mamma Mia.
All right then. Yeah. Okay.
Because
Go ahead with that, mate. Go ahead.
Imagine a musical horror. All right. It could be very campy, and that's exactly what Mamma Mia is. Mamma Mia isn't a strong film, narratively speaking, or for the dialogue, or for the characters. You go to it for the fun, music, and the fun set pieces and the great choreography. And I feel that that's why, especially with the cast that they have together, imagine that in a horror. It would just be a lot of fun, just seeing all these people come together, and most of all, it'd be unexpected, because if you went into a Mamma Mia and it was a horror, it would almost be to the part of parody. Like when I created the Where's Wally horror trailer, obviously this would be to a much higher standard, but it would almost be that, where it takes conventions of the genre and it would be able to turn it on its head, and it would be able to say, look, it still has what you love about this, but it would be able to have the darker moments with, like, they don't know who the fathers are. They could really work on that. They could sort of make it, no, I'm your... They could have a moment where it's like, no, I'm your father. And then another moment, one of the other dads walks in and goes, no, I'm your father. And then it's a whole dark, psychological, maybe even web of lies type thing, where it all slowly unravels. And you don't get a final conclusion of who the father is in Mamma Mia, but you don't need it, because she accepts that she doesn't need that, and that's a part of her character's arc. And that could be a part of this, and almost like with Meryl Streep and everything like that, they could have a moment where it's like in Mother, like, get out, or something like that, and they could, like, they're on this remote island, they could work on that. They could have tropical storms, so they're all locked in for the night, but then also trying to work musical and music into that. I feel like a chase scene down a corridor, it's almost like exactly like Scream. It's got like the dagger, everything, and then suddenly it's like, imagine putting an ABBA song to that. Like, there's the current meme of it at the minute, but just, I feel like reimagining Mamma Mia as a horror would be a great little thing, and I really want to see that.
I'm gonna go dark with mine. Mine's gonna go to a dark place. Please forgive me with this one, internet. I say The Little Mermaid. Now, this is a young, happy mermaid. She lives peacefully with her family. She lives in the magical kingdom of Atlantis. It is a perfect, idyllic, happy place. She is brutally tricked by, quite frankly, a terrifying old woman. This woman essentially rapes her. She has stolen the thing that makes her primal essence important, her voice. You can see a truly convoluted scene. You can even do something like with lights and animation where they're actually tearing it out of her. You make this a painful experience. You make it so she doesn't go over her own accord. She gets tricked into this experience. She comes up on the beach. This is a foreign land. She can no longer understand her animal friends. They're just animals. Oh my god, my magical powers. What am I? I can't speak. I'm just a young naked girl on a beach. Prince Eric is coming round the corner. I'm just a young naked girl on the beach who can't say no, who can't consent. Eric would
I don't
come
like
up
where
on
this
her.
is going. I don't like where this
Eric
is going.
could do horrible things to her. This is a young girl who is then essentially turned into his possession. She is trapped in a foreign land. She doesn't know any of the words that the people are using. She can't talk to her animal friends anymore. She can't say no. He turns her into his mistress. And then especially when Ursula comes up and she toys with the fact they have their own psychological torment of Area. It's like, fuck you. You can't do a thing to say no. So I'm just going to fuck him and then make him want to hurt you even further. They get to a wedding. She's essentially being forced into a marriage. And then even then, it would have to take her father to come and save her. You have the heroic final act where the father comes in and rescues her. Horrible location, what they would do to her. This would be a psychological horror. I think akin to Hereditary almost in that sense, and how she's not terrified by someone trying to hunt her down and murder her. She is trapped in a foreign land. She can't do anything that she's used to. The primal part of herself, her voice, her ability to stand up for herself is broken, and she gets everything taken from her, including what she wanted to be. When she became human, her chance to have love, because it was stolen from her when she was raped. The Little Mermaid is a horror film written by Zack. Coming to theatres, never.
So you took my what was supposed to be quite quirky question and turned it into a bit of a funny one into this dark, twisted thing that I don't know what you've become.
I want to win. What can I say?
What will you become? I'd have argued that if I was going to say a fairy tale, I'd have said original Sleeping Beauty.
Yep, Sleeping Beauty could work.
Because that is along the lines of what you were saying.
I just felt Sleeping Beauty, you can't touch it, because that's just perfect. Listen, I'm very now scared to see where this goes in the vote.
So that was our quickfire question. We'll put the poll up on Twitter.
Thank you.
Please feel more than welcome to come vote. And we'll come back next week and see.
I don't want to win that one.
We won't next week because we're pre-recording next week's. It will be in 2 weeks' time. We'll have the results for both this week's and next week's.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss it then. So that was our quickfire question. We don't have a bargain bin this week.
Yep, because sadly our sources are low. We haven't been out that much this week.
Been really busy with things. A lot of editing.
Yep.
Can't wait to bring stuff to the channel.
Mm-hmm.
But that comes into my What's Appertaining. So my What's Appertaining, I haven't had a chance to watch much because I've just been editing a lot of things. Again, video essay going to be uploaded to the channel very soon. But with Westworld and Legion going off Now TV, I didn't have access to Now TV for a few days, and then I rushed back on to see what time it was going off. And bearing in mind I was on episode 4 of series 2 of Westworld, it said going off in 23 minutes. So I was
dear.
like, well, fuck. So I've missed Westworld series 2, but
you've missed something beautiful.
But Now TV are good in when they put things on, they put them on for a short amount of time. But then when they go off, they then put them back up soon after.
It will be back soon.
So it will be back on soon. If not, I've loads to watch at the minute, so I'll just wait till when series 3 comes, and then they'll put the other 2 series back on. But with Legion, it said 1 day left, so I was binging loads of episodes series 2. I'm absolutely loving this series. They've completely, where in the first one it may have been a bit slow in a few areas, this one completely picked up the pace. It knows what it wants to be now. It's balls to the walls crazy. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. But I thought I'd missed the last few episodes, which I was devastated about. And then I go on Now TV this morning, and then it says available until October.
Hey,
so now I'm happy.
boy.
I can finish it in peace. But in terms of films, I haven't really watched that many films, which has been annoying, and I haven't really played that many games. So, Zack, what's happening?
I've been going crazy with films. I've been really getting into my horror scene. I've been catching up on some ones I've been wanting to get around to. The Autopsy of Jane Doe, really fantastic.
Good,
High recommend. Both Creep movies, I'm not even going to discuss because I demand that one day we sit down and we discuss this for 3 hours.
My video essay is coming soon. I've scripted part of it.
Yeah, you and me, we're going to go deep on Creep.
They're
because
so good, aren't they?
They're probably some of my favourite films of all time now. He's fantastic.
Sorry to interject with this, but I put up a tweet about how much I loved Creep 2. I did a little sort of small tweet review-ish type thing about it, and I tagged Netflix because they helped make it. They're one of the studios, Blumhouse and Mark Duplass, and the director liked it, and I neglected to tag him in it, so I feel guilty for that.
I tagged the director in mine, so Sour Popcorn has made up for it as a whole. I promised the people one day there will be content on Creep, not just your video essay. There will be a long, in-depth discussion where we analyse both because it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Also been getting through Cowboy Bebop, fucking loving this to pieces. It is incredible. I gave the first episode of Final Space a try. It was actually really, really crap.
Was it?
I really didn't enjoy it
really
at all.
disappointing.
Really didn't, it was just kind of like okay, like it was nothing great, and I was kind of like falling asleep a little bit.
Hopefully Matt Groening will come in with his...
Disenchantment, can't wait for that. It's going to be fantastic. Also been working on my horror short film, which we hope to be bringing to you hopefully soon. The script will be finished by the weekend. And also my horror documentary, the script is now finished. And that's going to be an interesting one to see how that gets put about. That's basically been it for me with what's appertaining. And we're now going to move into recommendation of the week. This is one that I've kind of actually caused a bit of a stir with online. Screen Junkies do on the SAU, they do Fan Fridays, and this is about 2 months ago, about a month and a half probably more like. They did, I got my question answered by Gabriel Gray, that was my YouTube name. Or what's kind of like a film under a director that doesn't really get talked about in comparison to the rest of the filmography, is kind of underrated. I said Catch Me If You Can with Spielberg, for instance, because no one ever really talks about it.
Yeah.
Dan Murrell, he went on about The Conversation. Absolutely amazing Francis Ford Coppola movie, and that's what I'm going to recommend this week. He went on about it, and I dived into it. It's fantastic. We don't really recommend many classic films on the Sour Popcorn podcast, so I want to be able to talk about this because Screen Junkies actually made a thing about it for like the next fortnight. They went on talking about The Conversation, about how they're going to fit it in to talk about it. So I felt quite proud. I made a bit of an impact there. I felt quite proud. But The Conversation is a fantastic film. And this is coming from the guy who made The Godfather. This might be one of his best films. Had it not been for The Godfather, like this is he made this right in between Godfather 1 and 2, so it's quite understandably forgotten given how big those two films were. But this is an incredible film. Gene Hackman is amazing in it. Just the cat and mouse game, the tension created in this story. Harrison Ford's in it. Billy D. Williams is an uncredited role in it. It's a fantastic little classic film that will have you on the edge of your seat, that will have you asking questions, that will have you analysing this performance like crazy. Perfect little small film. It's long, but it doesn't feel it. It's like Godfather in that sense where it just works. Robert Duvall's also involved, so if you're a big Godfather fan, he's also in it. Fantastic in this role. And I'm desperate to get Jake to watch it, because if he does watch it, he'll maybe be back on the Coppola train and he'll finally watch Godfather Part 2. So
It's on the list.
Big one for this guy.
And I'm keeping Godfather Part 2 for the projector.
I will be there for that. If not, I will kill you. Definitely give The Conversation a try. Really, truly worth it, and it has got such amazing ideas. It's just a prestigious kind of filmmaking we don't get anymore, particularly from Francis Ford Coppola. That's my recommendation.
You said The Conversation in my head, I could just think The French Connection.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but so that's been our episode of Sour Popcorn this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.
Yep. And I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks. As properly.
Yeah. And we'll get back with the quickfire question responses then. So in the famous words of Charlie Brooker, go away.